A newly engaged couple was walking through the city streets at night, happily preparing to shop for their new home. But just then, an armed robber appeared out of nowhere. The woman tried to offer money to avoid trouble, but was met with a brutal punch to the face. The man seized the moment and fought back, and after a gunshot rang out, the robber fled the scene in a panic. The man chased after him, but suddenly remembered his fiancée was still behind. When he returned, he saw a heartbreaking sight. His fiancée was on the ground, cradling his bloody, lifeless body. It was then that Sam realized that single shot had ended his life. Molly clung tightly to his still warm body, unwilling to accept the truth.
Somebody! Somebody help us!
A kind passerby came to help, and in that moment a blinding light appeared in the sky, visible only to Sam. He knew it was a call from the other world, guiding him to leave. But looking at his sobbing fiancée, Sam made the choice to walk away from the light. Even in death, he couldn't stop worrying about how she would live without him. As he watched paramedics declare his death and wheel his body away, Sam was overwhelmed with emotion. Late that night, he followed Molly back to what should have been their newlywed home. She kept destroying the clay they once shaped together with joy, over and over again. Sam could only stay quietly by her side, keeping her company in silence. As memories of crafting pottery with him played in her mind, Molly's heartbreak finally spilled over. Sam longed to tell her he was still right there with her. Suddenly, a cat's meow caught Sam's attention, and a strange idea came to him. He locked eyes with the cat, staring intently.
Boy, what's the matter, kitty?
The next day, Molly was sorting through Sam's belongings when his best friend Carl showed up to help. Even things like an old concert ticket or Sam's stomach pills, Molly couldn't bring herself to throw them away. Seeing how sad she was, Carl suggested they go out for a walk, but Molly declined.
You're not the one who died.
Feeling guilty for slapping him earlier, she changed her mind and agreed to go. But shortly after they left, the door was unlocked by someone with a key. It was the man who had shot Sam. Sam was stunned. Why did this killer have a key? He didn't have time to figure it out. If the killer had returned despite the risk, he was likely there to silence someone. Sam tried to stop him, but his ghostly hands passed right through. Suddenly, the sound of a key turning in the lock came again. Molly was returning.
God.
Sam warned the intruder, but of course the man couldn't hear him. The killer crept toward Molly's room. In a desperate moment, Sam spotted the cat again. It clawed the intruder's face, forcing him to flee, and Sam immediately chased after him. Taking the subway and passing through the bustling city, he followed the robber into a poor neighborhood filled with abandoned buildings. Sam remembered the name on the mailbox and followed the man, Willie, inside. Ignoring his bleeding face, Willie made a phone call.
She came home. A couple of days, man. I'll go back.
What he said shocked Sam to the core. Willie hadn't gone to kill anyone. He was searching for something. And Sam's death, it wasn't random. It was planned. Of course, what Sam cared about most was that Willie would return to the house to steal again in 2 days, which meant Molly's life would be in danger once more. But even knowing this, how could Sam get the message to her? At that moment, a small shop on the street called Psychic Advisor caught his attention. Although Sam knew the people inside were most likely frauds, he still entered with a sliver of hope. After observing for a short while, he was convinced the woman was faking it, and casually made a sarcastic comment.
What a crock of
Who is that? Julio!
Sam never expected she could actually hear him speak. After a wave of shock and fear, Oda finally calmed down. Sam had finally found someone who could communicate with him, and he wasn't about to miss this chance. He told her straight out that he needed her help to deliver a message to Molly.
Just what makes you think she's gonna listen to me?
It's just a phone call.
To shake off Sam, Oda reluctantly picked up her phone and made the call. But the moment Molly heard the name, she hung up immediately. At first, Oda was firmly opposed to getting involved, saying she wanted nothing to do with such things. Until Sam, with his terribly off-key voice, started singing loudly. This non-stop torture pushed Oda to her limit, and she finally gave in and agreed to do what he asked, arranging to meet Molly at a restaurant, just like the day before. The moment she heard Sam's name, Molly stood up to leave, refusing to believe that a dead man could have something to say to her, especially through a complete stranger.
Ditto, tell her ditto.
That was ditto. Ditto.
Molly stopped in her tracks. Seeing her hesitate, Sam spoke through Oda, revealing details only the two of them would know. Still half in doubt, Molly agreed to bring Oda home. To help Molly believe what she was about to hear, Oda explained her ability to communicate with spirits.
What is it you want me to write?
303 Prospect Place, apartment 4D. He's got my wallet, he's got my key, and he was in here. Molly, you gotta go to the police. It was a setup. I was murdered.
But the moment she heard about murder and the idea of calling the police, Oda visibly panicked, and after passing on Sam's message, she quickly said goodbye and left. She had no interest in getting dragged into a potential crime. That night, Molly met with Carl to figure out what to do next. But when she told him Sam had been murdered, Carl's reaction was surprisingly calm. He urged her not to believe in ghosts or spirits and warned her not to call the police, saying no one would believe such a story. Seeing how disappointed Molly looked, Carl promised to go check things out himself, and only consider going to the police if Oda's claims turned out to be true. Later that night, Carl went to Willie the robber's apartment. Sam followed him out of concern. But what he overheard shocked him to the core.
What the hell is wrong with you, huh? Is everything a joke? You killed a man. You're supposed to steal his wallet. Was that a joke?
It turned out that the real mastermind behind his murder was Carl. Now it made perfect sense why the robber had entered the house with a key at the exact time no one was home. Through their conversation, Sam also learned why Carl was so desperate to get his hands on his wallet. Not long ago, while renovating their new home, they had found $4 million hidden in the walls. Knowing the money was likely dirty, Sam had planned to donate it quietly. But Carl gave in to greed, and that's what triggered everything that followed. Facing the man he once called a brother, Sam could no longer contain his rage, but no matter how hard he tried to hit him, his fists passed right through Carl. The next day, Molly went to the police to report everything, but just as Carl predicted, they didn't believe in ghosts or spirits. At Molly's insistence, the police agreed to investigate Oda and the resident of apartment 303. The results left Molly stunned. The robber had used someone else's identity and had no criminal record in the database. Oda, on the other hand, had a history of fraud and had even been jailed multiple times, which also explained why she panicked and left Molly's house when she heard they were calling the police. With the facts right in front of her, Molly couldn't help but believe that the so-called psychic was a fraud. Meanwhile, Carl snuck into Sam's home. He searched through Sam's belongings and found the paper with the bank card PIN for the $4 million. When Molly returned from the police station, it felt as if her soul had been drained. Even though she'd already doubted the psychic, having it confirmed still hit her hard. Sam's spirit stood nearby, heart aching for her pain but not knowing how to comfort her. Everything now seemed hopeless. His killer was walking free, the $4 million stolen, and Molly left to live in grief and loneliness. But then Carl appeared. Seeing his former friend again, Sam desperately wanted to warn Molly to kick him out. But of course he couldn't. Pretending to be concerned about Molly's emotions, Carl sat with her on the couch. When she turned to grab something, Carl accidentally spilled coffee on himself, then casually removed his shirt and slowly moved closer to her. Carl's gentle words, laced with subtle affection, gave Molly a moment of warmth in her grief over Sam's death. In a moment of emotional vulnerability, Molly didn't resist when Carl leaned in to kiss her. Sam couldn't take it anymore. He charged at them. The picture frame fell to the ground. The noise snapped Molly back to reality, and she pulled away from Carl's arms. Discovering he could touch objects filled Sam with joy, as if there was finally a glimmer of hope in this desperate situation. He found a secluded place and tried to reactivate this ability to touch physical things. After countless attempts, Sam finally figured it out. By focusing his will through emotions like anger or love, he could touch objects in his spirit form. He spent the entire night practicing at the subway station, and at last, Sam could control the skill with ease. The first thing he did after leaving the station was to find Oda, because he already had the perfect plan in mind. Realizing she could be silenced if she refused, Oda eagerly joined Sam's team. After disguising themselves, the living and the ghost headed to the bank, withdrew all $4 million from the account ahead of time, and then donated the entire check to a nun on the street. When Carl later tried to launder the money through his own channels, he was stunned to find the account completely empty. Feeling a weight lifted off his shoulders, Sam decided to mess with Carl for a bit. He slid the office chair around and typed threatening words on the keyboard. At this moment, Carl had no choice but to believe that everything Molly had heard was true. Sam was still present around them in some form. Blinded by greed, Carl went to Molly, demanding to know where Oda was. But Sam wasn't going to let him succeed. While Molly went to pour some water, the bizarre events began unfolding around Carl once again. Driven by fear and desperation, Carl opened the gas valve, ready to set the whole place ablaze. But Sam punched him and quickly shut off the gas. Watching Molly walk down the stairs, Carl threatened the invisible Sam, saying that if he didn't get the check by 11 p.m., he would take Molly's life. Carl then rushed out of Molly's house without another word. Sensing danger, Sam grew alarmed. Carl had lost his mind and would never sit around waiting until 11, which meant Oda was probably in danger. And just as Sam feared, Carl and Willie had already found Oda, but Sam got there first, hiding Oda and her friend, and then used his ghostly powers to toy with Carl and Willie. Invisible barriers, mysterious writing on windows, faucets turning on by themselves. These eerie phenomena drove Willie to the brink, and he ran outside in a frenzy. But Sam wasn't about to let him off so easily, chasing him relentlessly. In the end, Willie was struck by a speeding car as he ran across the road. Carl panicked and fled while Willie stared at his own body in disbelief. Before he could even understand what had happened, dark spirits appeared and dragged him away. Those who committed evil in life don't get to stay in the world like Sam because of unfinished business. They are taken straight to the underworld. Amid blood-curdling screams, Willie was dragged into the depths of darkness. But Sam had no time to celebrate. He had to find and protect Molly before 11. As the taxi raced through the streets, the driver panicked at the supernatural events but managed to get them to Molly's home ahead of Carl. Yet when Molly saw Oda, she slammed the door shut without hesitation. At this point, she saw Oda as nothing but a fraud. To prove his presence, Sam had Oda slide a coin through the crack of the door. Molly watched, stunned, as the coin floated and then landed in her hand. She clutched the coin tightly, tears streaming down her face as a joyful smile broke through. She finally believed Oda. She opened the door and let Oda inside. After calling the police for protection, it seemed the danger had passed. Sam sat beside her.
Sam, can you feel me?
With all my heart.
Says with all his heart.
I'd give anything if I could just touch you once more.
But Oda didn't relay what Sam said. In her time with him, she had awakened the spiritual abilities passed down from her mother and grandmother, including possession. Though it might shorten her life, she chose to help. Holding hands, Molly closed her eyes, and in that moment, she felt as if Sam stood right in front of her. He gently caressed her cheek, and they embraced tightly, as if trying to make up for their lost time, or prepare for a final goodbye. Just then, a knock shattered the moment. Carl was at the door. The possession ended abruptly. Carl no longer pretended. He knew that even if he walked away from the money, Sam would still come after him. So he decided to take everyone to hell with him. Weakened from the possession, Sam temporarily lost his ability to touch objects. A chase broke out in the house with Molly and Oda running while shouting at Carl, calling out his cruelty and evil. Hearing this didn't make Carl feel guilty. He only grew more furious. Soon, Carl grabbed Oda by the ankle, and as Molly tried to save her, she was caught as well. Now holding hostages, Carl changed his plan. Demand the check, then eliminate everyone. But his wicked plan was doomed to fail. Sam had regained his strength. A ghost who could touch the living was not someone Carl could fight. Carl knew it too. He tried to flee immediately. He swung a hook to buy time, but instead shattered a glass window, and in a twist of fate, was killed by his own hand. Just like Willie, Carl was dragged into the underworld in utter despair. With everything over, Sam felt his time had come. He rushed to find Molly.
Are you two all right?
Sam?
Molly?
I can hear you.
A beam of white light appeared, and Sam's form became visible. Molly stared in awe. Their eyes met, and all their longing turned into a single, beautiful kiss.
They're waiting for you, Sam.
I love you, Molly. I've always loved you.
Ditto.
Both of them held back their tears, and then Sam slowly stepped backward into the beam of light. The pain of parting between the living and the dead is inevitable, but time softens all wounds, and life eventually fills itself with new people and moments. In the end, everything gets better. You slowly forget the past, and then, slowly, you learn to love the future.